I stood in my modest Seattle apartment, staring at a leather-bound prenup that could have doubled as a weapon, my hands trembling with rage and betrayal. 3 days before my wedding, my fiancé's parents had cornered me with a smug ultimatum: sign this one-sided document or watch my dream of marrying the man I loved go up in flames. They thought they had me pegged, a nobody nurse's daughter scraping by, desperate to cling to their golden son. What they didn't know is that I, Abigail, had $9 million tucked away, a thriving tech company, and a spine forged in years of proving people wrong. Those smug faces were about to get a reality check they'd never forget. Let me take you back to where it all started. I grew up in a gritty Seattle neighborhood where the rain never stopped, and neither did my mom's double shifts as a nurse. We weren't poor, but we were far from rich. Every extra dollar went to bills or my school supplies. My mom taught me to fight for everything, to claw my way up through sheer grit. I earned a full ride to the University of Washington, staying up nights to ace exams while working part-time at a coffee shop near Pike Place Market. Computer science became my escape, a world where I could build something from nothing, no connections or family name required. My grandfather was my rock. A quiet mechanic who'd spent his life fixing cars, he had a secret talent for picking stocks. When he passed during my senior year, I was gutted, but then came the shock of my life. He'd left me $7 million, a fortune built from decades of smart investments hidden behind his flannel shirts and greasy hands. I could have blown it on a fancy car or a penthouse, but I had bigger plans. I poured a chunk into a tech startup, building mental health apps to help people like my mom, who'd burned out keeping others alive. By the time I was 26, my company was valued at $1.5 million, pushing my net worth to $9 million. But you'd never know it looking at me. I drove a used Subaru, lived in a cozy apartment, and shopped at thrift stores. I wanted to be judged for my work, not my wealth. I met Noah at a charity gala for environmental education, where my company had donated software. He wasn't like the other trust fund types, flashing their Rolexes and name-dropping their parents' connections. Noah, with his warm hazel eyes and easy laugh, cared about the cause. We talked for hours about climate change, our favorite hiking trails in the Cascades, and our mutual obsession with spicy ramen. When he asked for my number, I didn't hesitate, even though I knew his last name carried weight in Seattle's elite circles. His family's real estate empire practically owned half the city, and their influence stretched from boardrooms to country clubs. Our first date was at Pike Place Market, where Noah showed up with a picnic basket full of homemade tacos. He'd Googled my company and gushed about its mission, which made my heart skip. He was different, grounded despite his privilege, a lawyer who ditched the family business to fight for environmental causes. We fell hard, spending weekends hiking, burning dinner in my tiny kitchen, and debating everything from politics to sci-fi novels. I never told him about my money. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I wanted him to love me for me, Abigail, the scrappy coder with big dreams, not Abigail, the secret millionaire. The first cracks showed up 6 months into dating, when Noah took me to meet his parents at their sprawling estate in Bellevue. The place was a fortress of wealth, manicured lawns, a mansion that screamed old money, and a driveway lined with cars that cost more than my childhood home. My fiancé's mother greeted me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, her questions dripping with polite venom. "University of Washington, how impressive," she said, sipping her wine. Was it difficult, managing without family support? Her husband, Noah's father, was blunter, talking over me about yacht clubs and business deals I couldn't follow, as if I were invisible. Noah brushed it off, used to their games, but I felt the sting of their judgment. I told myself it didn't matter. Noah was my world, his laugh, his quiet strength, the way he'd hold my hand during a tough day. When he proposed one evening on a ferry ride across Puget Sound, the emerald ring he slid onto my finger felt like a promise of forever. I said yes, my heart soaring, imagining a life we'd build together. But wedding planning brought the Blackwood's true colors into focus. Noah's mother had an opinion on everything: the venue, too rustic, the flowers, too common, even my guest list, not suitable for their social circle. She never said it outright, but the implication was clear: I couldn't afford a wedding worthy of their son, so they'd graciously foot the bill. I let them think that, swallowing my pride to keep the peace. My money was my secret, and I wasn't about to play their game of one-upping wealth. I compromised on most things: extra guests, a gaudy cake from some overpriced bakery, but held firm on my dress, a sleek design that made me feel like I could conquer anything. Even then, Noah's mother managed a dig, calling it practical with a smirk, like I'd shopped it from a clearance rack. Noah tried to mediate, sometimes standing up for me, sometimes nudging me to let things slide. I did, because I loved him, and I believed we'd carve out our own space after the wedding, far from his family's shadow. We'd already picked a condo downtown, close to my office and his law firm, a symbol of our fresh start. 3 days before the wedding, everything unraveled. I was finalizing details with the photographer when Noah's mother called, her voice syrupy sweet, inviting me for tea at their estate. "Just us girls," she said, "to bond before the big day." Exhausted from wedding stress, I ignored the warning bells and agreed, hoping for a chance to connect. Big mistake. I pulled up to the Bellevue mansion in my Subaru, noticing Noah's father's Bentley parked out front, an odd detail, since she'd said it'd just be us. The housekeeper led me not to the cozy sunroom but to a formal sitting room, cold and intimidating, where Noah's parents sat like they were about to close a corporate deal. My stomach dropped. This wasn't tea. This was an ambush. "Sit, Abigail," Noah's mother said, her tailored suit screaming power. Her husband, in a suit sharp enough to cut glass, slid a thick document across the coffee table. "A standard prenuptial agreement," he said, his tone clipped. "It protects our family's assets in case your marriage to Noah doesn't last." My heart pounded, but I kept my face neutral. "Noah and I never discussed a prenup," I said, my voice steady despite the betrayal burning in my chest. Noah's mother waved a hand. "He understands its necessity. It's a Blackwood tradition everyone signs." I scanned the document, my tech-trained brain catching the red flags immediately. It wasn't just about protecting their wealth, it stripped me of everything. If we divorced, I'd walk away with nothing, no matter how long we were married or what I contributed. Worse, there were clauses that could let them claim my company's intellectual property, the apps I'd poured my soul into. "This feels one-sided," I said, struggling to keep calm. Noah's father shrugged. "It's standard for families like ours. You wouldn't understand the scale of our legacy." His wife chimed in, her laugh like nails on a chalkboard. "Your little app company is sweet, Abigail, but let's be realistic." They thought I was nothing, a small-time coder marrying up, easy to bully. "When does this need to be signed?" I asked, buying time. "Today," Noah's mother said, pulling out a pen like she was sealing my fate. "The wedding's in 3 days. We need this settled." My pulse raced. "I'll need my lawyer to review it." Noah's father frowned. "Our attorney is top tier." "That's unnecessary." I stood my ground. "If it's so standard, you won't mind me taking a day to ensure it's fair." They exchanged a glance, annoyed but cornered. "By tomorrow morning," Noah's father said, his voice hard. "Sign it, or the wedding's off." The ultimatum hit like a slap. They were so sure I'd cave, and nobody too desperate for their son to fight back. I grabbed the prenup and left, their smugness following me out the door. In my car, I heard Noah's mother's voice through an open window. "She'll sign. Where else would she find a catch like Noah?" Her husband's laugh twisted the knife. I drove away, tears blurring the Seattle skyline, pulling over twice when I couldn't see the road. Noah called, but I ignored him, too raw to talk. I needed answers. Had he known about this? Was he complicit? Back in my apartment, I called Mia, my best friend since college. "They did what?" She exploded, her voice shaking with rage. 3 days before your wedding? That's vile." I spilled everything: the prenup, the ultimatum, the way they dismissed my company. "The worst part," I said, curling up on my couch, "is Noah might have known and let them blindside me." Mia didn't sugarcoat it. "You need to talk to him, Abigail. And call Benjamin. He'll tear that prenup to shreds." Benjamin Cole, my grandfather's lawyer, was my secret weapon, sharp, loyal, and unafraid of big money. I called Noah, my hands shaking. He answered instantly, his voice thick with worry. Abigail, what happened? Mom said you left upset. I didn't hold back. Your parents ambushed me with a prenup that screws me over and said if I don't sign by tomorrow, the wedding's off. They implied you knew. Silence. My heart sank. I didn't know they'd do it like that, he said finally. I was going to talk to you myself. It's how my family does things. So you knew, I snapped, hurt slicing through me. And you let them corner me? He sighed, defensive. I didn't want to stress you out. It's just a standard document. Have you read it? I pressed. Another pause. Not closely, he admitted. Dad said it was routine. I told him to check section 4, the part about my company. His voice faltered. This isn't right. I pushed harder. Your parents think I'm nothing, Noah. Where do you stand? He hesitated, then said, I love you, Abigail. We'll figure this out. The wedding's not on the line. But doubt not at me. Call them now. Tell them the ultimatum's off. He hedged. It's not that simple. A prenup makes sense for my family's assets. What about my assets? I shot back. Or don't they count because I'm not Anderson? He had no answer, and that silence said everything. I need time, I said, hanging up, my chest tight with grief and fury. If they wanted to play dirty, I'd show them I wasn't the pushover they thought. The next morning, I sat in my downtown office, the prenup spread across my desk like a battle map. I'd dressed for war, a tailored black suit, my grandfather's pearl earrings glinting like armor. Benjamin Cole arrived, his silver hair immaculate, his briefcase a promise of victory. This prenup, he said after reading it, his voice low and dangerous, is a disgrace. I've seen bad, but this is predatory. I nodded, my jaw tight. Can you fix it? He grinned, a shark sensing blood. We'll do better than fix it, Abigail. We'll rewrite the rules. For 2 hours, we crafted a new prenup, one that protected my $9 million and Noah's family wealth equally. It ensured fair asset division based on contributions, safeguarded my company's intellectual property, and set clear boundaries for our future. You sure about revealing your wealth? Benjamin asked, pen poised over his legal pad. It changes everything. I nodded, resolute. They forced my hand. It's time they knew who I am. I texted Noah to meet me at Canlis, our favorite restaurant, for lunch. When he arrived, he looked wrecked, a rumpled shirt, shadows under his eyes. Abigail, he said, reaching for me, I'm so sorry. I told my parents their ultimatum was wrong. My heart softened, but I stayed focused. What did they say? He grimaced. Dad called me naive. Mom cried, said I was betraying the family. I told them I'd cancel the wedding myself if they didn't back off. Pride flared in me, but I needed more. There's something you don't know about me, I said, sliding my financial statements across the table. His eyes widened as he read, $7.5 million in investments, $1.5 million in my company. Abigail, why didn't you tell me? It wasn't about trust, I said, my voice cracking. I wanted you to love me for me, not my money. Your family's obsession with wealth made me hold back. I needed to know how they'd treat me without it. He nodded, guilt flickering in his eyes. They failed that test, didn't they? Spectacularly, I said, handing him the new prenup. This is what a fair agreement looks like. I want us to be equals, Noah. He read it, his lawyer's mind catching the balance. This is right, he said, squeezing my hand. I'm with you, Abigail. Let's face them together. That evening, we met his parents at her farm, a private dining room overlooking the Sammamish Valley. I wore a cream dress and blazer, my grandmother's pearls at my neck, radiating quiet strength. Noah's parents arrived late, a power move as he'd predicted. His mother's burgundy gown glittered with arrogance, his father's suit screamed control. Abigail, his mother said, barely glancing at me, I assume you've come to sign. I smiled, cool and unshaken. Not quite. Noah took the lead. Your prenup was unacceptable, unfair, and coercive. We've drafted a new one. I slid the document and my financial statements across the table. My net worth is $9 million, I said, watching their faces freeze. $7.5 million from my grandfather's investments, $1.5 million from my company. This new prenup protects us all fairly. His father grabbed the statements, his disbelief palpable. His mother sputtered, "This can't be." "You live so, modestly." "I live by my values," I shot back. "Something your family might learn from." The air crackled with tension. Noah's voice cut through. "You disrespected Abigail, assuming she was beneath us. That ends now. This prenup is our terms, equal protection, no ultimatums." His father scanned the document, his lawyer's instincts kicking in. "We'll need time to review this," he said, less certain now. "Tomorrow afternoon," I said firmly. "The wedding's in 2 days." His mother's eyes darted between us, her composure fraying. "I may have misjudged you, Abigail," she said, the words stiff but real. It was the closest she'd come to humility, and it felt like a crack in their armor, a victory I hadn't expected so soon. 2 days later, I stood in the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, my wedding dress hugging my frame like a second skin. The new prenup had been signed that afternoon, with only minor tweaks that kept its fairness intact. Noah's father had negotiated calmly, while his mother kept her distance, still grappling with her miscalculation. Mia adjusted my veil, grinning. "You're glowing, Abigail. Not just the dress, you're owning this." My mom, fussing with my train, smiled. "You've always been unstoppable. Now they see it too." Moments before the ceremony, Noah's mother appeared, softer in a pale blue dress. "Abigail, a word?" she asked. Alone, she met my eyes. "I was wrong about you. Not just the money, the woman you are. I judged you unfairly, and I'm sorry." Her voice trembled, a rare vulnerability. She handed me a velvet box containing sapphire earrings, a family heirloom from Noah's great-grandmother, a working-class woman who defied expectations to save their legacy. "Wear them today," she said. "Something old, something blue." I swapped my pearl earrings for them, a quiet bridge forming between us. "Thank you," I said. "Let's move forward together." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Welcome to the family." The ceremony was magic, 200 guests, but all I saw was Noah, his love anchoring me as we exchanged vows. His mother's tears surprised me, a sign of her softening. At the reception, the Blackwood Circle treated me differently, no more condescension, just curiosity and respect. Noah's father introduced me as the entrepreneur reshaping mental health tech, his pride genuine. Noah whispered during our first dance, "You changed everything, Abigail." "I'm so proud to be your husband." I smiled, my heart full. We changed it together. Our honeymoon in New Zealand was a dream, hiking through fjords, laughing under starry skies, just Abigail and Noah, free from family drama. Back home, we set boundaries. When Noah's mother pushed for weekly family dinners, we agreed to monthly, carving out our own traditions. His father invited me to advise on tech for their firm, listening to my ideas with respect. Our new home, a cozy house in Capitol Hill we bought together, became our sanctuary, a space where we made decisions as equals. That prenup crisis, as painful as it was, forged us. I learned hiding my truth, even to protect myself, could backfire. Noah learned to stand up to his family's control. Together, we built a marriage on honesty, respect, and shared strength. The Blackwoods learned I wasn't a threat but an asset, a partner, not a pawn. My wealth wasn't just money, it was the freedom to stand tall, to demand respect, to love without losing myself. Thank you for joining me on this wild ride. Have you ever had to prove someone wrong about you? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If this tale of standing up and owning your worth hit home, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more stories of triumph, and share with someone who needs a push to shine. Keep being your unapologetic self. You've got this.